Hello there. Those Remoaning Rejoiners out there are definitely trying their best. Just don't let them grind you down. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe, click the little bell, select all, then like and comment below. As we approach the new year of 2023, the Remoaning Rejoiners out there are striving to convince people that the only country in the world suffering from things like a cost of living crisis, rampant inflation and eye-wateringly high energy costs is the UK, and that it's all down to Brexit. And they trot out the same old tired rhetoric and don't want to acknowledge the global effects of the pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. No doubt they will also try to pin the strikes on Brexit, despite that being about wage rises to account for what is actually global energy price inflation. The Remoaners ignore facts like the NHS having a post-inflation budget increase of some 40% since 2010 and being well above average for health spending in the OECD. And the left decry the failings in our NHS but say we mustn't reform it, or Americanise it as they like to call it, when the US has by far the largest spend on healthcare in the world as a percentage of GDP. Now, I'm not saying we should go the American way, but acknowledging that fact might help us improve the NHS. But no, the left demands even more money be thrown at it. Anyway, another mantra oft trotted out by the Rejoiners is that the UK's car production has halved since the Brexit vote. Well, just so you know, Germany is also very near to that as well. And the US isn't faring well in that department either. Now let's look at a real fact. The UK joined the common market in 1973, and then we were assimilated into the European Union at the end of 1993. Now, entering the whole European community shebang was meant to bring us great prosperity and increasing wealth as time went on. Now here's a graph showing UK annual GDP growth from 1961, well before we joined the common market, up until 2021. And what you can see in the years before our common market membership is a trend upwards in our annual GDP growth. But since we joined, our annual GDP growth was following a gently downward slope. Where was the promised boost to our economy after 1973? Where was the benefit of breaking our global ties? And why no acceleration in growth after we plunged headfirst into the newly formed EU in 1993? Where were the economic benefits from that? In the cold light of day, based on those figures, what would be your assessment of our lost decades within the European Union? Where was everything we were promised? What did we actually get for all that freedom of movement and being legally and politically joined at the hip with Brussels? And now the Rejoiners have the cheek to tell us that it will be all different if we shackle ourselves to Brussels again, this time within the Euro and Schengen to boot. And they're rushing around shouting about how wonderful it is that as of tomorrow, Croatia has joined the Euro and Schengen, as if that's the example we must follow. Well, at least we now know for definite where the Rejoiners stand on those two issues of the Euro and Schengen, don't we? But I'm not sure the general public would go along with that, though. Especially if they thought that the only outcome would be further national decline. And we all know that our current economic problems are echoed around the world and have absolutely nothing to do with Brexit itself. Any problems we might be experiencing there are all down to politicians and civil servants waging a war against Brexit for the last 7 years, and the unwillingness of this Tory government to shake off the EU shackles once and for all, as well as get a grip on our borders. So don't let the Remoaning Rejoiners grind you down. Now, just a heads up, expect to see some changes on the channel going forwards as we try to interact more directly with viewers. We'll start looking through the comments sections to identify the odd question we might try to answer directly by video. And we'll also be setting up an answer phone system so viewers can leave a question, which we'll play on air and answer if we can. You'll hear more about all this in the new year. Finally, I hope you all had a great Christmas, and I hope that 2023 brings you all that you need and want, and a happy new year to you all.